is 5:30, and I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to amend tonight's agenda and move item 15E to our January meeting. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Okay, 15E. 15E like Eric. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I move.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And with that, we will convene to closed session. We are ready to roll. We will reconvene to open session at 6:03. Good evening, everybody. I would just like to restate our mission and vision statement here for a second. Our mission is to achieve excellence by nurturing a love of learning, a district where all students are welcomed, valued, engaged, and excited about learning. Students graduate with excellence in critical thinking, a love of learning, and are prepared to move successfully in the world and life. Every staff member working as a team helps to create a community of continuous learning, equity, and opportunity for all. Our vision is to be a welcoming community that inspires possibilities, connects people, and ignites learning. And with that, we will move on to our report of action taken in closed session. May I have a motion to approve item 5.1, case number 2526-03-SD.
I move.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Trustee Johnson? Yes. Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Nelson?
Aye.
Trustee Wing?
Yes.
Trustee Martin?
Aye. Okay, and now we'll have our flag salute. May I have the students come forward?
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
What school was our flag students? Okay.
Next up is our number 7 annual organizational meeting, and we're on 7A, election of board president.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. This is our annual organizational meeting, which means we elect a new president, and the floor is open for nominations for the president for the coming year.
I would like to nominate Michelle Wing.
Any other nominations? Is there a second for Michelle Wing?
I second.
Thank you. Do I call it? Oh my gosh. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations.
Here we go. You gave that over really fast.
Can I say something else? I just want to thank President Martin for his year of service. You've done an amazing job, and I just love what you have brought to the leadership of this board, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure.
All right, here we go again. So next we have the election of board clerk. Are there any nominations for board clerk? I would like to nominate Trustee Martin. Any others? And can I get a second on nominating Trustee Martin?
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have nominate representative to the Sonoma County Committee on School District Organization. So Trustee Brown has been doing this for a number of years.
We need to.
Yeah.
We need to, let someone else do
Yep.
this. Yeah, for the opportunity of learning, because
Yep.
if no one else ever does it, no one's gonna know.
Exactly. So I was going to nominate Trustee Johnson for this position.
Okay.
Any other nominations?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor for Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next, we have the designate representatives to the district committees, and we all have in your binders the who's doing what right now. Is there, so the top one, trustee Brown is now trustee Johnson. Is there anyone that would like to stay on the same committee or do a different committee?
I'd like to do budgetary as opposed to LCAP.
There we go. You want to do budget instead of
Yes.
LCAP?
Yes. But what time does the budget one meeting?
So it's during the day. It's
Ah, okay.
from 4 to 5:30.
Never mind.
Okay. So then you want to stay on LCAP then?
Sure.
Okay. Does anyone else want to switch anything?
Yeah, I'd like to be on the budget meeting.
You want to be on
Committee.
budget?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we'll do that, and we will do Brown, and then trustee Martin, are you okay doing the 2 by 2 by 2, and switching with left?
Sure.
Is that good?
It'll be nice to experience something new.
Yeah.
What time of day does that typically meet?
Wednesdays.
Okay,
Yeah.
that should be fine.
And it's usually
Okay.
Cool. Okay. And then trustee Brown, are you still okay being on the facilities committee?
Yes,
And trustee Martin, you're okay with that one?
Yep.
Okay. DLAC, we would leave as trustee Nelson and trustee Johnson, unless someone else wants to switch it. No? Okay. LCAP then would be Nelson and Martin. And Special Education Committee would stay trustee Johnson and trustee Wing. We do not do a wellness committee anymore. It's pulled up into LCAP. Budget Advisory would be trustee Wing and trustee Brown.
and the lamp's no longer coordinated by Jen Hansen.
Right. That's old. Trustee Johnson, would you like to stay on the LAMP committee, or would you like me to take that over? I'm fine either way. Are you guys meeting monthly, though? No? Well, okay.
You as the alternate would be great. It's in
Okay.
the middle of the work.
Why don't you and I flip back and forth?
That would be great.
Okay, so we're gonna do trustee Johnson and trustee Wing, and we're gonna go back and forth. Okay, perfect. I appreciate it.
And so budget advisory is who again?
You and me,
Okay,
and we do have a meeting on the 18th.
okay.
All right. You got everything you needed, Rochelle? All right. There we go. Can I get a motion to approve our committees for the 2026 calendar year?
I'll move.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have our approval of the regular board meeting dates for January. Everybody sees them, correct? Just so everyone knows in advance, there is a chance I will not be at the June 23rd meeting.
I also wanted to point out that we eliminated the early board meeting in August.
Okay.
We had 2, and we've gone down to 1 for the month of August.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the 2026 Board of Trustees meeting?
I'll move.
Can I get a second?
I'll
I'll se-
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. Item 8, employment. Approval of the employment agreement for Assistant Superintendent of Education Services.
So this is for Dr. Field's contract. His contract is up at the end of this year, and we would like to keep him around. So we're asking for your approval.
Any questions or discussion?
Can we just go back really quickly?
It
Is
needs to
this?
change.
Yeah, we need to change that if this is being published.
So
on
the top says Mountain Shadows Educational Center
It says that at the bottom as
on
well.
the bottom, so we can just. But we have them here. Maybe just take them off. Like, does it have to say where it even is at?
Yeah, I don't want this published online and then have somebody showing up somewhere
Yeah.
where we're not meeting.
I would just take it off.
Yeah, we'll get it.
And then we need to change SCO deadline. I think that's supposed to be yellow. The little box. There's, yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Back to Dr. Fields. Can I get a motion to approve the employment agreement for Assistant Superintendent of Education Services?
I motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Nelson,
Aye.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
All right, next we have.
Thank you all.
Oh, you're welcome. Special recognitions and presentations. So I'd like to invite Principal Raffoni from Richard Crane to do our presentation.
All right, good evening. Thank you, Ford, for the invitation to be here. My hope is just to tell you a little bit about what we're doing at Richard Crane and how we're working hard to improve our teaching and our learning. So we kind of identified three main focus areas. The number one is collaborative inquiry, belonging, and increasing parent engagement. So for our collaborative inquiry, we are working on having peer observations, providing time and opportunity for our teachers to get into each other's classrooms, have time to see what's happening, and then also time for us to discuss what they saw and how we can improve our strategies and our routines. So we met as a staff and we looked over some of our data. And we saw that the one area that we created for a priority question is how can we improve instruction to support students with research and writing, particularly for our multilingual learners. We're seeing in our data that our students that are multilingual learners are not making the same rate of progress as some of our other students. So how can we help support them? So we looked at our CAS, but we're also looking at some of our STAR scores. Having your peers, your colleagues come in and watch you teach takes a lot of trust, right? So when we're looking at what's happening, it really needs to be not judgmental. It really needs to be with a focus of improvement and how can we help each other. So I'm really excited that they are at that place where they trust each other to come in and have conversations about our teaching and our learning. Our writing committee and our leadership committee are also helping support this through, so during our committee time, one of our committees is writing. They're meeting and they're looking at specifically opinion writing. And in our staff room, there is all the standards for opinion writing for the grade levels. And then they're putting up their work samples. So I get to see, you know, I'm a first grade teacher. I get to see what it looks like in kindergarten. I get to see what it actually looks like in second grade, the third grade, so we can help support each other. They're taking ideas from each other. And also just, you know, one of our teachers said, hey, here's an opinion stem. I noticed my students needed these stems to help really make good, strong sentences. So they're sharing resources versus I'm just sharing it with you. We're sharing it site-wide. I'm really excited because they just met, and in our next leadership meeting, being able to hear out what they learned and saw. Some of the teachers are already coming to me and like, this is what I want us to do, and they're kind of leading the work, which I think gives empowerment to them. Our second one is belonging, and this focus came from our Youth Truth data from last year. One of our areas was safety, specifically, can you be yourself with other students? That was one of our areas that our students highlighted for us. And it was really about, you know, I have different interests and I learn differently, and how can I feel safe about that? So some of the ways that we're doing that is our community circles. So in every classroom, teachers are doing community circles, and want to focus on, belonging and understanding how we all learn in different ways. Our student leadership is also helping support that through our spirit weeks, kindness week, things like that. Our student support advisor is also helping with our restorative questions, helping our students problem solve when issues do come up. Our PTA is sponsoring a guest speaker for us that will come and will talk specifically on acceptance and understanding of differences, which I think is even more important. We opened up a co-taught classroom, so making sure that there's that understanding. Our PBIS, our restorative practice, and also our school-wide, each month we have an assembly recognizing a different character trait, like empathy, friendship. Part of belonging, this is Cecilia. She's our student support advisor. She's been an amazing addition to our school staff, really making a powerful difference. She is doing our check-in and check-out for our general ed students. So these are students who just need a little extra support, a cheerleader for them, and they set a goal, and are they meeting their goal each day? So this is a sample of a card. Every student's goal is different. We also, as part of our character traits, each month we're focusing on one, and as a school, we're looking at what it sounds like and what it looks like. That's happening in the classroom, but then they also come to bring their ideas to the multi-use room so they can see what other classes are doing. And then through our PBIS, we're getting ready to have a celebration for our Platinum award. And some people, these are the little certificates: we rock and we care. And sorry, you can't see that one. It talks about being kind. Oops. So our goal is, those are our goals: increase collaborative inquiry, increase a sense of belonging, and then increase parent engagement. Let me go back to that. Sorry, double skip there. So we want to increase parent engagement, so that's one of our goals. So we've actually, we're not at 100%, our goal is 100%, we're still working on it. We're at 95% of our parents attended parent conferences. We still have a list. I know exactly who they are, and we're still trying to get them there. They were scheduled. Some of them didn't show up, but we're going to keep pounding them till we get to 100%. And so we gave our parents who came to parent conferences a brag tag. We give our students these little brag tags for perfect attendance. So we wanted to give our parents one. So we're really looking that our parents are having touch points, our open house, our conferences, different meetings, as well as school events. So we're really wanting to make sure we're having grade level bands, looking to see who's actually coming and having a little friendly competition about who can have the most involvement. Anna, our community liaison, is contacting parents who are not into Parent Square and helping them. She's bringing them in, she's setting them up, showing them how to use the system, because we need to be able to communicate with them. And if you're not going to show up to these events and participate if you're not connected with us. And then also, how can we get you to volunteer? So we've just started really incorporating some of our parents. We have what's called WIN, What I Need, where we regroup our students. And we purposely set that time at 8:30. So it's 8:30 to 9 is when we regroup a whole school. And so we had 7 parents come. Some parents came all 4 days and helped different groups. So we were able to have smaller groups. So how can we really have parents really serve a real important purpose and feel really needed? And just making sure that everyone is connected. So we're going for that 100%. So yeah. Is there any questions? Yes.
I love the parent, school connection there. Since I'm a part of DLAC, let's say a English learner parent wants to participate. Can we provide some kind of interpreter for them?
Yeah, I haven't had a parent with that issue, but yeah, we could. Yeah, that would be amazing.
I had a question on your writing one. I saw that TK has their own little section on the wall as well. Are there actual state standards or things for TK, or is it just kind of we're including them and?
Yeah, we're including them because in order to be a writer, in order to write, I need to be able to speak and say. So in TK, it may look like, do you like dogs more or do you like cats more? And I'm looking for you to say a complete sentence. I like dogs.
Okay.
and maybe even a because. I like dogs because they can fetch a ball. So we're really looking for that language
Okay.
At their level.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming out here tonight.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Lots of exciting stuff. All right. Next, we have Principal Ramey with Rancho Cotati High School, Goals in Progress.
Michael. Hi, everybody. I'm trying to find my presentation. Excellent. Can you see it? Yay. Okay. Hi, I'm Heather Ramey. I'm the principal at Rancho Cotati High School. Thanks for having me tonight. This is sort of my annual report out to you guys on the things that are going on. Happy to take more questions at the end. So this is our vision and mission statement at Rancho. We empower all students to thrive academically, grow personally, and contribute positively to our global community with integrity and compassion. And our tagline is learn here, succeed everywhere. Our two main goals as a school, and these are our WASC goals as well, for which we're having a mid-year visit this year, are one, to improve student achievement overall, and then two, to improve our scores on the CAS, which is our state assessment taken in the 11th grade in math and English. So for our first goal, to improve student achievement, what we have done at Rancho over the last, really 6 to 8 years, but very, very more targeted over the last 3 years, I would say, is we have started a PLC structure, which is basically a clear guideline for teachers when they meet to collaborate on a weekly basis. So teachers meet every week. They meet on Thursday mornings, and they collaborate with their department and course alike groups. So for example, English 9, all the English 9 teachers meet. All of the geometry teachers meet. All of the Spanish teachers meet. And what they do is they work through a very clear framework to make sure that they are all teaching the same standards for the course that is being taught. They are giving a common assessment to see if the students are learning those standards. And then they are responding just in time to the students who are not meeting the standards. And they're doing that on a cycle within their group every week. And so we are working to improve that system year after year after year. And it's getting better and better and better. And we're seeing students learning more and more because we're able to assess them in that common way across all teachers who teach the subject. The second goal is to improve the state test scores. There's two things we've identified as issues with this. One is that some of the students don't take it seriously. Well, why should I take this state test? Take it seriously. They take it, but take it seriously. They finish it quickly. They don't try very hard. So we put together a bunch of incentive programs where they get awards, they get cords for graduation, and they get recognized for their achievement on that test. The other thing that we've done is really worked to align the teaching and the curriculum with the formatting of the test so that students are familiar with it when they do see it, and it's less of a barrier. And they see it and they're, oh, I know how to do this. And they do it instead of look at the format and say, I don't really get this. I'm not really going to try very hard. This year, we've started a site-wide writing initiative that is aligned with the state test in all subject areas so that students can write in whatever class they're in, even if it's woodshop, about that topic, but have the writing standards and rubric aligned with the state test. And what that does is allows us to align the way we're teaching writing with the state exam across the whole school so that students are more familiar with it and that we're all teaching in that way, to that standard. Safety and discipline. I show you guys this slide every year. I tweak it a little bit. We take a three-pronged approach to safety and discipline at Rancho. Restorative, PBIS, and progressive discipline. We've been doing this approach for about 8 years, and we've greatly reduced discipline and fights on campus over the time that we've taken this approach. I'm sure you've heard about restorative practices and PBIS a whole bunch, but I will just highlight that what we do at Rancho is grounded in relationships. Our administrators and our teachers and our counselors and our campus supervisors build relationships with students. When something happens or we get a tip that something might be happening, we build on that relationship to work through whatever the problem is. We also use PBIS, meaning we do a lot of education for our students about what the expectations are of school, what you do, what you don't do, and all the different places on the campus. We also use progressive discipline. We use loss of privileges, behavior contacts, attention, suspension, and expulsion. And I always want to make sure that I thank you, the board, for your willingness to expel students when we send them to you. That really does set the tone for the campus, that we don't tolerate behaviors when they reach a certain level. We have seen about 50%, that's supposed to be a little squiggly line, because you can see when, look at my numbers, it's not actually 50%, but it's approximate. Reduction in school violence each year. So fights on campus 22-23, we had 16, 24-25, we had 9. So far this year, we've had 1. And that's, you can see that this three-pronged approach really works to make students feel safe and to let us know what's going on before it becomes a problem. Our suspension rate is also down to 3%, meaning that we've taken a lot more time to use OMC or other means of correction when discipline incidents do occur. I gave a survey this fall in October to the students. We had half of the student body respond to this survey. I asked 5 questions, and these were the results. So 94% of Rancho students feel welcome and included on campus. 91 feels physically safe. I specifically asked physical safety versus emotional, so physically safe. 77% feel connected to at least one adult on campus. 2/3, 67%, see discipline as fair coming from the office, not so much from the teacher, but if someone gets in trouble in the office. And 58% feel comfortable, but what I'm focusing on here is the 38% feel not comfortable, discomfort, uncomfortable in using student restrooms. So what I took from this was this 38% is what I've been focusing on since I gave the survey. And we have done a new bathroom procedure. And we've done it for 2.5 weeks now, I think. Yeah, okay. About 2.5 weeks, as we started before the break, and then the break happened, and then we started it up again. Reteaching the expectations in the bathroom, supervising our restrooms, and following through with very clear interventions when students are not using the bathroom appropriately. So far, so good. Too early to pull in the data, but anecdotally, campus supervisors say it's working fantastically. We've had very few incidents of vaping in the bathroom since we started. Actually, I think maybe just 1. So really positive so far. And we'll tweak it as we go based on the feedback we get. These percentages don't add up to 100, I know that, if those of you who are mathematicians on the board, because I gave students the option of, I'm not sure on a lot of these questions, and so it's not adding up to 100. All right, 4x4 bell schedule. I want to make sure I explain this each year about the benefits of this schedule and why it is that we are so invested in specifically the equity outcomes of the 4x4 bell schedule. What this does is allows students to take 8 classes, but they don't have to take them all at once. They take 3 to 4 at once. That means that every single student has access to every single program on campus. In a typical high school bell schedule, that is not the case. When you have a 6-period day, students' 6 periods get filled up with graduation requirements and mandated support classes for English language development or for IEP support, and they're unable to access CTE programming and AP programming and the various electives and programs on a campus. This really opens that up. And to the point that we have seen our participation in the CTE program at Rancho actually mirrors our overall demographics as a school. When you look at race, ethnicity, English language learners, students with disabilities, and socioeconomically disadvantaged students. Those are all my little acronyms in the pink box. AP participation nearly mirrors that. There are some gaps there, but it's very close. The other thing that this bell schedule has done for us over time is reduced our fail rate really dramatically. So in 2019, we had a 32% fail rate, and now it's more like 16. So it's about cutting it in half. And then with climate and culture, I really feel like this, because there's fewer transitions in this bell schedule, students having 3 to 4 instead of 6 to 7 classes, it just cuts down on those opportunities for students to interact and do things that maybe we would rather they don't do. Okay, CTE pathways. We have 15 CTE pathways. We did lose 2 this year. We lost our CAD program and sustainable construction, and we are sad about that. And we're looking for something to replace that. However, we have gained some. We have gained hair and makeup, which is currently in our technical theater pathway as an introductory course. However, we're exploring the possibility of that becoming its own cosmetology pathway. We offered 4 sections and they filled up immediately, and the course is going very well. Lots of student interest. Also, we've added robotics as a pathway during the school day. We've always had a robotics team that's been very successful. Now we've added that to the school day as a CTE pathway. We've also added the Environmental Science Academy, which really is able to fortify the environmental science pathway, which ends in AP Environmental Science, which is also dual enrollment with Sonoma State University. That's it. Any questions?
I have a question. So, I see the violence on campus went down. Now, does that correspond with our SRO coming on campus too?
Oh, that's a great question. When did she start?
He's been here a long time.
I think the question is, does that help, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it helps
Okay.
a lot. And what it helps with is preventing
That's what I thought. Yeah, you
violence
have
on
somebody there.
campus. Because she has a pulse on the community, and we have an open campus, and many of the issues that our students have, although they definitely have issues with each other because they're teenagers, but have to do with outside influences. And she has a pulse on that and can do research on that, and we can partner to prevent things from happening.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so when my kids went here, the bathroom issue was a problem then.
Mhm.
And now have a senior and a freshman at a high school in the Bay Area, a higher end high school, all college prep, and they have a bathroom problem.
Yep.
Too many kids are smoking and vaping in those, and I assume the 38% reported discomfort could be the same thing. You verify that, is it vaping?
I can't verify that because I didn't ask the question, but that's
we-
my assumption as well.
Well, we need to verify that, if it is vaping, and stop it.
Mhm.
So that you don't have to go in there and come out smelling like that, or if the kids are vaping marijuana or whatever. So I don't know what needs to be done, but that needs to be corrected, just period.
And I believe it is being corrected by our current measures in place.
But 38% tells me.
This was
there's a-
before I started the initiative.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
I'm assuming, yeah, I don't know what,
So
yeah,
this
so if you
survey,
did this survey again, what do you think the numbers would be?
I'm hoping it will go down dramatically,
Okay,
because the interventions that I put in place since the survey was given in October target, using those PBIS strategies, are really targeting the times of day and the specific bathrooms in which we see the most vaping. And it's those times of day and it's those bathrooms that are now supervised. 3 students in, 3 students out, and they line up. 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, 1 out. And we're not seeing vaping when the bathrooms are supervised. So far. We'll see.
so
I'll report
hopefully-
back.
Yeah, hopefully I mean, it was
Yeah.
interesting, just as a sub-comment, when our board members went to a conference, I stayed at a personal residence, but they were, had to deal with marijuana smoke in a public facility. So it's just annoying when you're trying to do your work or job or whatever, and you're exposed to that. So, it's frustrating.
I agree. And I'll report back. I'm gonna give this survey again in March, and I'm hoping to see that number drop. We'll see.
When-
And if not, then we'll make adjustments and try new things.
When would we see another report that tells us what the results are?
Well, I could get it to Maite right after I give it. She could share it with you. Or I'm happy to come back if there's time.
Yeah, I'd like to see that that's been addressed too.
And I thank you for taking the initiative and working on that and providing intervention. I'm curious, with the survey, 50% return is pretty good. What is your technique to distribute the survey, and or do you have a plan to get even more feedback?
I hold them captive during a safety drill. And then I tell them to take it. Yeah. Olivia's like, that's how I get them the responses. Yeah. I can also share the bathroom plan with Maite, if you'd like. I could share the bathroom intervention plan with you as well, so that you guys can take a look at it and see what we're doing. And then when I share the results with you, then, look at it together and see what we can do better.
I just want to say thank you to, the ranch in years past, like way years past, hasn't always had the best reputation, or it's been known for its sports, but maybe it has lots of fights or anything. I go anywhere now in Sonoma County and I say, I'm, trustee at Cotati Runner Park, and people have nothing but positive things to say about the ranch, about the programs you guys are doing, about the students that are going here, about the academics that are happening. And so I just want to thank you and your staff, because over the course of just a couple years, it is really seen as a high achieving school in Sonoma County, and that is a credit to what you guys are doing. So it's really cool to, when, sometimes we were like, oh, my kid goes to the ranch, like, oh God, what are they about to say? And they're like, it's amazing, and they have these great programs, and they do all these amazing things. And so thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for that feedback. I'll definitely share that with the staff.
But yeah, I think everything's going great, and I'll be happy to see in the spring that our students are using the bathrooms
Appropriately. Me too.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Next, we have our student board reports. Are you guys doing them individually together? Together. All right. Sounds good. So for those of you that don't know, last week was the California School Board Association Conference, and this year it was in Sacramento. So we invited all 3 of our student board members to attend the conference. So they went on Tuesday and had a full day of learning all the things. And so they're here today to report out together about the things they learned. So thank you very much.
I mean, the introduction was already given, but yeah, no worries. But yeah, we went to a board convention and it was really good, really beneficial. Yep. Okay, so There were 4 key parts within the conference. First and foremost, the speakers talked to us about just how important our role is. In the state of California, each educational district board is obligated to have at least one student board member to bring light to the opinions and voices of students. They made sure we understood the responsibilities that we have and the significant impact that we can make, and what an honor it is to serve. They especially made emphasis on advocating without fear and the significant impacts that we can make within our district. They focused on the fact that your age has absolutely no impact on the changes that you can make on the world around you. If you have a voice, you have the ability to make impact, even more as the student board member. Third of all, they gave us information on how more districts in California operate and how financial decisions are made regarding the schools. We'll talk more about that later in the presentation. And finally, our legacy. A lot of time was set aside to discuss this topic near the end of the conference. They asked us, what do you want to be remembered by for your time as the student board member? And how will you inspire future student board members? Overall, the conference's discussions and lessons made us think deeper and reimagine what we thought the student board member role is, leaving us with a lot of great, new, and definitely still evolving knowledge. During the conference, we had many opportunities to talk to the other student board members. Whether it was during break or through guided conversations, we gained a lot of insight. Some of the things we discussed with the other students was, what does being a student board member look like for you? And what changes do you hope to make in this role? Having these conversations was super helpful. For me personally, I had some great ideas and comments come up in these conversations, and they left me feeling far more confident in my abilities as student board member. During the conference, part of our day was to learn about the LCAP and the California dashboard. We were told that, in simple words, the LCAP is a plan for how our budget will be spent by explaining the goals, actions, etc. Then we were introduced to the California school dashboard. Although I have looked at my own school's dashboard multiple times, it was interesting to look at the district as a whole. When talking with other students at the conference, it was cool to see how some other districts do in certain areas that we do differently, but also to talk about how we can increase those different areas based on how each other's districts do. We also got talking amongst the 3 of us and saw how not only how our own high schools do, but how the middle and elementary schools were doing and how that might impact the high schools we go to now. We were also told that our voices are a valuable tool, but that this is the data, and the data is always needed to back up any statement that we say. We lastly talked about the connection between the LCAP and the dashboard, that the dashboard is where we find the data, and then the actions are implemented in the LCAP, and that they do work together. Although they are both important, the dashboard and the data for the LCAP relies on each other to truly understand what the students need. Okay, so personally, I loved the convention. I met so many amazing people and learned many different ways I can improve my performance as the student board member. It was interesting to hear just how different each student and roles, responsibilities were. Yet at the end of the day, we are all working to achieve the same goal, to represent our school's student body with our one voice. I really liked how part of the conference we got to hear from other students and their impact they did in their own districts. It was super nice to connect with others about their problems or concerns, so we were able to bounce off ideas. We're able to see what other students' struggles and their solutions, but also see how we can take those solutions and come back to you guys with them. And then Kaylee said going to the CSBA field trip in Sacramento honestly opened her eyes. Seeing people speak up for students showed her how important it is to keep representing her school and standing up for what we need. It made her feel like her voice actually matters. It inspired her to keep pushing for what's the best for her school and her community. And then here are some of the photos we took. And then our .5s.
which is like another way to take a selfie. It was a long, long conversation. But yeah, so here, and then some of the people we met is in the second photo.
Yeah, on the right, that was like our table group. It was so much fun to talk to them since you mostly talked with your table group in those like guided conversations. They were literally so sweet. I believe they were from like Monterey
South
area.
Monterey
yeah,
Bay,
South
yeah.
Monterey. It was just like so nice to get to know people. It was like people from so many different locations. But yeah, thank you.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
So when you were talking to the other students, did any of the other student board representatives bring up, being an advocate for different issues at their schools? Did anything jump out? Like, we want better food at the cafeteria, we want better programs to get us into college, we want safer campuses, we want shorter days, less homework. Yeah.
Yeah. For me personally, one conversation that was like significant to me, it was a conversation I had with a girl. She was a senior from, I believe, Tahoe, and she was working with her counselor to create more ACT and SAT prep programs because she noticed that there were so many students at her school who were so motivated but just weren't finding the right tools or like programs to prepare themselves for these standardized tests. And obviously, getting a poor grade on an SAT or ACT can significantly tank your acceptances and how colleges view your application. So yeah, she was working towards fixing that issue at her school.
So I personally would like it if you guys would bring those issues to us from your campuses or and our other students, so we can hear, what's needed and how we can help provide it. Even though we have one job is to supervise this person over here, but not get involved in the weeds. But the more we hear, I like your reports showing, we did this and the clubs did that and this and we're doing the blood drive and that's it. But the real issues are, what do the students need to make their educational process better?
For sure.
And for over the years, the student board representatives have always done what you guys have done. But one time, a long time ago, we had one student board representative who was like light years ahead and challenged the board members on things. So, I enjoy that if that kind of stuff. Tonight, we're gonna have a real tough subject, the budget type of thing. And I just, love if the student board members could, be more knowledgeable or exposed to that and say, what are you guys doing? This is a serious issue, or why is this happening? So anyway, that's just some feedback from me.
Of course. Thank you so
you.
much. That's very
Okay.
helpful. Any other questions?
I just want to thank you both for going because it's, we think it's the first time that our district has sent student board members. So thank you.
Long time ago, we said it all
Long
the
time.
time.
Yeah. So thank you for taking the day off, especially so close to the end of the semester for Olivia and end of a true semester, like end of your classes and the middle of your classes. So thank you for taking an entire day out and waking up really early to get there and getting home late. So thank you to that. And thank you to the parents and the district staff that drove them up there and back. So that's great. I confer with Trustee Brown of it. One of my favorite things that you guys did in a presentation was you gave us the student voices, and these are the things. I think Olivia, you had said the bathrooms were an issue, and Sophia, you had mentioned the journalism class at Tech doesn't have a lot. Those things are great for us to hear because one of the things is we'll be out at school sites or at the grocery store and things, and parents tell us things, and if we don't know, we can't do anything about it, and I can't go running into the bathrooms and be a one-woman crusader or anything, but if we know, it helps inform our decisions when we are making budget changes or approving programs or even doing curriculum stuff and things like that, because otherwise, I'm a Pollyanna. I just think everything's just fine unless I hear otherwise. So thank you for going and being open to going and putting yourself in that probably vulnerable situation of, oh my gosh, what are we going to? And I really look forward to your participation going forward.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sending us there. It was so helpful. It felt like a master class for like student board member. I think it was so helpful. Like, you should definitely like keep this around for future student board members. I think
Well,
it was
next year's in
lovely.
San Diego, so that one,
Oh,
you guys will have multiple people that want to be student board members next year.
yeah.
Yeah, it bounces back and forth between the different state, or the different sides of the state.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Next, you guys don't have individual, right? You're good. Okay, just checking. All right. Trustee reports on activities. Trustee Johnson, where were you last week?
Where was I last week? Well, I was at the California School Board Association Conference, the AES, Annual Educators Conference. Thank you. Yeah, I got a lot from it too. Gosh, I don't know how many workshops I went to, probably 4 or 5. And the closing ceremony, it was a gal that Harvard psychologist, I forget exactly what her title was, but she was giving us a lot of stats on AI, which was very interesting. I took a lot of pictures of her slides and stuff, so we'll make sure to bring them home. But I really liked it overall. It was good, Maite and I, Superintendent Iteri and I, we both sent scathing letters to the conference about their wheelchair accessibility stuff. It was just, even the last day was a nightmare. I mean, they sent us clear to the other side of the conference, which you guys know how huge it is, and then the elevator didn't work over there. So the folks that, the ushers go over to the other side. So I go over to the other elevator. It goes down to a parking lot that goes nowhere. So I come back up, and they're like, trying to figure out, and they go, oh, yeah, we'll take you way over to the other side again. And you know how those carpets are in a wheelchair? I'm like getting worn out. And so, and they said, no, we have to have a guard be with you because it's actually the lobby's locked because we don't want anybody from the outside coming in. So we went down, unlocked the door, went through. It's like, so it wasn't very organized, and we let them know it. So hopefully for the next poor schmuck that goes there in 3 years, won't be going through that little fiasco. Other than that, though, the presenters, the workshops, everything was fantastic. And it was good to have the board together. We missed you, Mark, but it was good to have the board together to kind of, it was good team building. And I'm sure Leff will talk about what the one we went to together, the ADA versus basic aid. That's something that's been stuck in our craw for a while, and it was kind of good to build relationships there. So, and then I have DLAC Wednesday, and I have LAMP Thursday. So my vacation has not started yet.
Trustee Brown?
So, yeah, pros and cons of the convention. First of all, the facility was horrible. Absolutely horrible. The fact that they don't have hotel rooms close enough to the conference, and you have to shuttle back and forth there. I'm really disappointed with the venue. Probably just because of the logistics, the hotels that you guys took, and then the back and forth traffic. I didn't feel safe. There, 10 years ago, on my son's trip, to dinner, and it's just it's unfortunate for the venue. The conference overall, it does build the teamwork thing. We work together, but it's expensive. So I suggest. Can I turn my mic? Yes, I can turn my mic on. Okay. What I suggest that we do, if we don't, coming up with budget issues, don't all go to San Diego, is we take a day that we can all just build our teamwork type of thing. Whether it be a Saturday or whatever. So because you're spending a lot of time together, we get to know each other better, and that builds on teamwork type of thing. So conference-wise, I gotta say, I have been to a lot of these conferences, and the reality hit me with the trade show is what's this trade show for? I mean, I'm not going to buy buses. I'm not gonna do building with the carpenters. It wasn't for the school, wasn't for me for the school board member. I mean, Power Books, or was it Power School?
Our schools.
Schools, you know, that I know that there's issues with and stuff. I don't make those decisions. So I don't know how they can restructure their trade show so it'll be more beneficial, or unless everybody in the district says, you know, go to this booth and get information on it, you know, from that standpoint. I'm really disappointed in their marketing that they had at the trade show. When they're, you know, and I realize marketing, we have a marketing person here.
Careful left.
Pardon me?
I said careful.
Careful, but I sure hope you don't do caricatures for your wine tastings where board members are wasting their time sitting down and getting their face drawn type of thing. And when you could be learning about other things. So that's just my bias for the trade show. And you know, there's only so many pins and cups and little footballs and other stuff that you can get. So, I mean, that didn't do anything for me. So I don't know if you're a first-time board member, you guys go through the trade show, or did you have time to do that? No, they were stuck in a classroom where they couldn't try to market stuff to you. So that one of the, you know, that you usually will talk to other board members and get ideas from other districts. And we had been at the conference, and I think I was walking out with Michelle at that conference where the woman said, oh, you're from Rohnert Park or whatever.
Oh, yeah, you're friends.
So what happened there is I'd been to the basic aid versus LCL funding, and I went up with a passion and asked to be, you know, how do we get all the districts to lobby for that, you know, in there. And then I come out with a conference with Michelle from another session, and this woman goes, oh, you're from Rohnert Park. My husband does this through the health department. And it's like, oh, and so I just casually said, well, where are you from? Well, you're from Tiburon. And she said, I said, so I had to ask. I said, you're basic aid? Yeah. And then as you walk out the conference, they have all these rooms that dump into a small hallway. And so you're kind of stuck walking very slow. So I had to have additional conversation with this person. So I'm just trying to be cordial, and growing up in Marin, I said, where'd you go to school? And so here's the knife in the heart. Oh, I went to Branson. For those of you that don't know, Branson costs $68,000 a year to go to high school, 1 year. So, I mean, it was like the haves and the have-nots. And so, and just coming out of a different conference from basic aid and that. And then a lot of the conference I went to were about finances because of the budget and stuff. And what was discouraging is the tax base from the rich is there. I mean, it hasn't dropped, the income tax receipts, but the state has a spending deficit from prior years. So so the numbers don't look good. And then too, politically, I talked about Governor Newsom, you know, what he's going to do to position himself for his next political thing. So people are not focused on what's best for individuals in that. And then another thing is I enjoyed and got a lot of information from the standalone conferences that we go to. But then they flashed up in one of the general sessions, why were you a school board person? And if I hear this again, I'm going to scream. That person said, well, I ran for school board because of my child, my one individual child, as opposed to saying, I ran for school board for the 6,000 kids, not just for you, not for everybody. And so that just drives me crazy when people are so self-centered like that, and then maybe they grow beyond their one child. But I'm surprised, CSBA should have not, in my opinion, used that as a profile thing as to why to run for school board. So anyway, those are my 2 cents. It is good, it's expensive. And then we'll just have to evaluate this next year with the budget. You know, do we send 2 people? Do you used to be able to do some of that stuff online? So, and it's a time commitment, and thank everybody for going and doing it and leaving their jobs and their families and stuff like that. So, and then as we get into John's presentation tonight, it'll be interesting to see where we go. So, anyway, so I have to get off my soapbox, but there's good and bad, and the good obviously outweighs the bad, but they need to make some improvements. Okay.
Trustee Nelson?
I have no report.
So I too was at CSBA last week. Money, shocking, was the topic of a lot of the conversations. One of the things that was interesting is CSBA actually, well, there has been it's not legislation, it's legislation where they are looking into what the impact of switching from attendance to enrollment funding would be. So it doesn't mean that's going to happen. They're just doing they're doing a study, and then they're going to report out. And well, no, the study has passed, so that's happening, and then they're going to see how much it's really going to cost. So I will take that as a positive that they at least are going and doing a study, because this time last year we were told, and a lot of the things, it's never going to happen because they won't do it, because they won't do anything that may jeopardize Prop 98. So that was good that they're at least looking at it. For me, and poor Maite heard me numerous times, reports and the number of reports, like they had a whole session on just the number of reports that school districts have to do. And they said a minimum of 211 reports. And they had one legislator up there in one of the ones that we were in together. And he goes, yeah, I actually passed legislation, and unfortunately there's a report. I didn't know that was part of it. He goes, I've never read a report that's been turned in. I don't know what happens to those reports that get turned in. I don't know who does them or how they do them. So I love education. I think that we should all do A+ work, unless it's a state report, in which case I think we do the absolute bare minimum. And I am going to kind of start asking, like, who sees, if we don't care about the report, if it doesn't help us internally, like, one-word answers are good enough for Trustee Wing. Because they said, if you take the time that people are doing these reports, in some districts, that human being's time is $2 million a year of all the people that are doing these reports. And I'm pretty sure John's going to tell us that we don't have enough money. And then Maite's going to tell me that we don't have enough people. So my cost savings idea is one-word answers for any report that we don't need as a district. So there you go. And then my private sector thing is like, what's the worst they're going to do? Come back and say you need to fill it out better? Like, I almost want you on page 32 to write, is anyone actually reading this? If so, please give me a phone call and we'll see what happens. And one lady was telling us in her LCAP that she sends, she doesn't actually really follow it. She does what actually is best for her school district. She's been the superintendent for 15 years, 18 years. Who was on this thing with me? Were you in it with me? Yeah, she's been on this, and she goes, yeah, and just the county office, as we get new people in and they leave and the new people in, she goes, some years it passes, and some years the county office comes back and says, why did you put this goal in here? It's not required. She goes, because it's a goal for my district, and I actually use this report. And she refuses to change it. And she tells them, go ahead and send it back to the state, and if the state has a problem with it, I'll fix it. She goes, never once has it ever been sent back. So that is my soapbox, is forget these reports, one-word answers only going forward, please. Unless we need it, in which case you guys do all you want. I want to give a huge shout out to Rachel, even though you're not director of special ed anymore, and our special ed team. I went to 2 different ones that were specifically on special ed and what's happening in special ed and the cost and what's happening with our students. And some of the things that both superintendents and trustees were saying that are happening in their district. I am not an expert in special ed. I know very little. And I was sitting in one of them going, that's illegal. I don't know very much, but I know that that's illegal and you can't do that. And it was really sad because some of them were clearly not in the best interest of the students. One trustee said when a parent does a written request for an assessment, you don't actually have to do the assessment if the teacher thinks the student's fine. I'm like, oh, I don't think you can do that, but that's okay. You do you in your district. So, and then when I would talk about what we are doing in our district and the programs that we have and the support we have, people were shocked at what we were doing and how well things are going. So I really wanted to shout out to Rachel and your team and our new director of special ed and your team, because I know you're going to take the torch and go forward, but thank you, because the headaches and I know we say special ed takes up a large part of our budget, but I can tell you that in other districts it is taking up so much more because of the legalities and the impasse and just the things that they are not doing to support students and how it's actually costing them in the long run. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for that, because I got to say, well, this is what we're doing. I have no part in it, but there we go. Oh, and then we had just 2 seconds, because this is the funniest thing ever. So they had the gubernatorial candidate the first day, and if anyone can tell me why it's called gubernatorial, not gubernatorial, other than there are a bunch of goobers up there, that is my official stance of the 5 people that were on the board. I had such high hope. Good news, they all care about education. I hope so, because they were at an educators conference. But it was really, really interesting, and it was interesting later listening to some of the people on the panels talk about what is going to happen with the governor's race this year, and that the people running right now, they have until March to actually file your paperwork, and kind of the feed between the political pundits was the next governor hasn't officially filed their paperwork yet, is what they think, is that there's no one out there really that, but it was really interesting. I am not supporting or not supporting anyone, but the sheriff of Riverside is a funny guy. I'll give him that. He commanded that room like none other. Maybe don't agree with everything he says, but he was entertaining to listen to, at least, so that was fun. Yeah, it was good.
Just a side comment on that, you know, where you're saying the front runners or the people with the big money probably weren't there, type thing. So CSBA, I don't know, they could have maybe used that time for a more educational conference than, other than those people coming trying to get votes saying that they care about education. So, you know, it depends on, you know, it's so frustrating that the bigger the lobby, the more you can direct your dollars here or there. And one thing I learned is we need to, all the school districts, you know, the political, we need to lobby to Sacramento for education.
Oh, that is why I said, so school board trustees are the largest elected body of people
That's
in
right,
California. And then the very next thing they said is how we're all inundated with all these reports. I'm like, well, if all 4,000 of us just said we're not doing it anymore, we all agree report 65309 is done. Just that, if your entire class just refused to take the test, at some point you're going to have to deal with the fact that your class didn't take the test. So if we all just say, forget it, so we got to take back our power. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, but I
Trustee
mean,
Martin?
we're not united.
Right.
So, I mean,
We're going to start here.
yeah,
Group
we
of
have
5.
to start here and get everyone united, so,
It starts with us.
Yes,
right.
that's right.
The conference was my first one, and it was very eye-opening. I have to say, Trustee Johnson, I know you had frustrating moments with the transportation. In the moments that I saw, you handled yourself quite gracefully and patiently. I'm not sure I would have handled myself quite the same way. And so it was a good example, and I'm sorry that things were the way they were. And for the record, the marijuana smell was not at the conference. It was at the hotel, just in case anybody's wondering. The conference was clean.
Yeah.
That you guys weren't close enough that you know, I was your chauffeur for half the time because I had people.
Yes, you were. And I prayed a lot.
Jeez.
We had an awesome time,
Okay.
nonetheless. And I appreciate it. And I like,
Didn't bring the Corvette.
you didn't. And I like the mandarin oranges, thank you.
Yeah.
So I gravitated towards funding just because I'm curious about how that works. And in one conference at the end, they said, oh, there's going to be another session just on Prop 98 where you can geek out. Well, I geeked out. And it was very eye-opening. And sometimes when we learn things, we can get discouraged or we can get hopeful. And I'm choosing to get hopeful. And I'm joining Michelle Wing's Political Action Committee when she starts it.
Sounds good. All right. Super. Eteri.
All right. The conference was great. I think I spent a lot of time in the budget once as well, and I'm really hopeful about what I'm hearing about enrollment versus attendance. One of the things that was also really eye-opening for me was just this really simple visual of how school districts, our attendance and enrollment is declining and our expenses are up here. And to be able, school districts cannot bring down their expenses at the rate that enrollment and attendance are declining. So it's really that tension, it's very hard to balance those two things. This continues to drop, but our expenses, it's just hard for school districts to bring down their expenses with how fast enrollment and attendance are affecting it. I've spent the majority of my time in the last couple of months thinking about budget. That's really all I think about. You're going to hear tonight from John about where we are and what we need to do. We had a couple of successful negotiation sessions. Very grateful to RIPSIA and their team and the management team for everybody comes in with a really good attitude of we're going to do this together. So I really appreciate that. I've done some school visits, really like being on the campuses. You're going to hear about the survey results from the survey that we took. You'll hear that in January. I'm excited for you to hear the results about that. And looking forward to a little time off to reflect. And very grateful to the team at CRPUSD. So thank you all.
Great.
One last thing. I did take the opportunity at the trade show, although it wasn't, I understand exactly what you're saying, Left. I did take the opportunity to talk to Power School and share my concerns. So, and we gotten an email since then.
Oh, good. All right. Next up, we have the Roanoke Park Cotati Educators Association report. Lisa Bauman.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I don't have a lot to report. I feel like I was just here because of that break. We did have I guess, productive, collaborative bargaining session today. There was nothing happy. Well, I shouldn't say there was nothing happy about it, but there was very little happy about it. And this is just a really tough time, and we are all in it together, but at the same time, our members are really struggling. The profession is really hard right now. And I sent out to our group chat, like, is there anything you want me to share today? And someone was like, yeah, 2 of our teachers cried today. And it was just, and I'm totally understand why we're in the situation that we're in. And I appreciate that we're all trying to come up with solutions that are going to minimize the impact to teachers' wages, but at the same time, their working conditions are really, really difficult right now. And I can't help but sometimes feel like I'm failing them, to be honest. And it just, and when Maite said she, it's all she thinks about, and she said some other choice things too, and I was like, yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, I had the worst week last week, and I went to my county-wide meeting for presidents, and I just walked out of there feeling like a failure. And so I really feel like, Michelle, this, after this year of mine, that this is going to be our time to become politically active. I think that is where I'm headed.
We've recruited Eric now, too. We're a team of 3 now.
Okay, awesome. We are a team of 3. Because you hit it on the head. It's like our expenses are going up, our revenue is going down, and we are still, the 3rd largest district in the county and one of the lowest paid. And that's hard. And our new teachers who are on that step 1, like they say, like, this is unsustainable, like, financially. And so, yeah, I don't have a lot of good, happy things to share right now. But I do appreciate that we're all in this together, and that we're all gonna share the pain, I guess, for lack of a better word. Other than that, I think people are definitely looking forward to the break. It's been an exhausting year. I know I said this last time, but I keep hearing it. It's like everyone already feels like it's May. And, the behaviors are big, and so people, I think, just need a break. and a time to reset and recharge. And we'll hope for, better days in January. Yeah. I mean, you won't hear better news from John, but like maybe we'll have I don't know. Maybe Kim will win the lottery
There we go.
because Kim is going to donate her winnings to the district, at least part of it. Do you have any questions for me? I'm sorry, I'm so gloomy and doomy, but
Here, any questions?
Yeah, thank you. What the behaviors? It's increased. Kids are acting out because of the stress of our economy.
I don't know if that's I don't think the kids are reacting to the stress. I mean, the teachers are reacting to that stress and the financial burden. The behaviors, I think, kids are different these days. We're seeing it, I would say primarily between TK and second grade. But that being said, we still see some in third, fourth, and fifth. And I would say, generally speaking, at our elementary campuses, that, a handful of kids are kind of taking the time and people power of, most of the administration at those sites. We have elopers at every site, and we have to follow them wherever they go. And, there's a lot of aggressive behavior still that we're dealing with. And the district has really responded, and in special ed, we've really responded to those needs by putting in as many supports as we can. And it's still not enough, but it's not for lack of trying. It definitely is not for lack of trying. It's just, it's not what it used to be even just 5 years ago. It's very, very different. I can't tell you why. I have my own theories, but in the meantime, we're left with just trying to find strategies to make it better. But it's hard on everybody. So thank you for asking, Shirley. Anybody else?
Thank you, too, for what you do. I spoke with, at the conference, a presenter. He has a program that supports social, emotional well-being with students. And my hope is, with the intervention that we've been doing as a district and as a society, is that we're going to get on the other side of this, and that behaviors and social emotional difficulties are declining or will start to decline. In the meantime, I'm just curious of ways that we could better support teachers and staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like I said, like at any given time when a teacher needs assistance, like all of the people that you would normally call are already dealing with other behavioral issues. And so the issues there are more issues than there are people to be able to provide that support. It's a crazy world out there. And I mean, and I said it at bargaining today. I'm worried about what the end of, like, what March and April and May are going to look like. I'm worried about how many people are going to decide that this profession just is no longer for them. And that's not on us. I don't really think that's on us. I think it's on the system, but it's not sustainable. And I think I've mentioned this before, where like teachers are feeling anxiety about coming to work. They're up at night too, but for different reasons. And just like, oh my gosh, what's today gonna be like? And is this person gonna, hit me today? Or are they gonna cry all day? Or, are they gonna, hit somebody? It's those kinds of things. And talking about social and emotional, like that, the mental health is really wearing thin for a lot of people. And I think it's important for you to know that. And I think it's important for you to know that, everybody up here that we work with is doing their best to support us. And it's just an impossible situation. So thank you for also supporting us. I
Yeah,
appreciate
just-
that.
I want to thank you for all you're doing. And I'm kind of aware of, it's unfortunate that children that don't get the family structure and children that don't have parents or someone else that's doing that, or children that have been abused, they come with, unfortunately, huge amounts of baggage and anger and other things that an individual teacher can't handle all that. And it's tragic what's happening in our society. Thinking back when my kids went through this district, they had the support, you know, and all the years that I coached sports and stuff like that, and I saw the kids that didn't have that, they were the ones acting up. And as it gets tougher and people are doing 2 and 3 jobs and they're not, you know, having a kid's a full-time job.
Yep.
And those parents that don't have the time or neglect those kids, then they create tremendous burden on our teachers and our staff, and then we don't pay teachers enough. It's not funded properly. It's a double-edged sword. So thank you for all you do, and we'll, you know, I'm on that. I'm supposed to be on the basic aid committee to try to get. I gave the guy my card and said, call me. You know, we have to get all the committees, you know, all the school districts together
Yes.
to make this an even playing field. And Michelle hit it on the head type thing. She said during the conference, she said, you know, it's not equal funds, it's just not equal opportunity.
No.
And until we provide equal opportunity, until all those kids get the equal opportunity before they come to us, we're going to have problems. So thank you, and my heart goes out to everybody.
Thank you. Thanks.
Lisa, I just want to say thank you for being vulnerable and share your feelings with us tonight. That was very brave of you and leading by example. And I know that the days are really tough, but you, with your presidency and the last 2 terms, you have accomplished a lot in RIPSIA and with this district. And so a lot of the things we've accomplished would not have happened without your leadership. So I just wanted to say thank you for that, because I know that the days are long, but you have accomplished a lot and done a lot. So thank you.
Thanks.
I second that.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. All right. We have no official correspondence?
Correct.
All right. Then next we're going to move to consent agenda. Any questions or comments about the consent agenda?
I have a comment about 11G.
Okay.
I think with our current budget challenges, I think it's, we need to look at alternate solutions for this. It's only $20,000, but I think we need to look at an alternate solution internally handling this.
Okay. Any other comments or questions about the consent agenda? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve item 11A through H?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. No ed services? Personnel services, approval of provisional internship permit for K through 12 mild moderate support needs at Marguerite Hahn. Rachel.
Hi, I'm asking your approval tonight for a provisional internship permit for a candidate to be a teacher in our K2 SDC at Marguerite Hahn. We had a vacancy come open mid-year, and this is a paraprofessional who's been working in the special day class, knows the students, has a bachelor's degree and experience in the class, and we feel like is the best candidate for the position at this time.
So I just have a question for both of these. These aren't additional headcounts, they're filling a headcount that is now vacant.
Yes, that is true. And the same is true for the biology teacher. That is a position that's been vacant all year. And we have a candidate who has extensive professional experience with biology and has a bio and chem degree. And we're hoping to get this permit so they can teach the class.
Any questions or any more? All right, can I get a motion to approve the provisional internship permit for K through 12 mild moderate support needs at Marguerite Hahn?
I move.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Can I get a motion to approve the provisional internship permit for the biology teacher at Rancho Cotati High School?
I move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Next up, there is no business in operation, so board services, approval to cancel the regular board meeting on December 16th.
Yes, we are asking for your approval on this calendar item. We were able to put everything into this meeting. The way the dates fell for our SCO obligations allowed us to have one meeting this month. So we're asking for your approval on that. No
I
way.
hope there's no questions. Can I get a motion to approve to cancel the regular board meeting for December 16th?
I move.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If you're opposed, you're coming by yourself. No, that's right. Approved
you.
5-0.
What else would somebody do on a Tuesday night?
Does anyone want to take a break before time?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we are going to take a 5-10 minute break, and we'll be back at 7:35. We will call the meeting back to order at 7:36. Next up, fiscal update and planning. Here we go.
Unless there are questions about the enrollment report, I'll just get into the first interim report, if that's okay.
Yep.
So while I appreciate the work that goes into getting this report done from Molly and my staff and myself, for that matter, this isn't a great report. And I too also have feelings where, you know, I've failed. I couldn't predict all these things that happen, and I think I'll explain, why things are or whatever, and why we couldn't project some of these things. But I feel you, Lisa, and Maite, for that matter. We have these conversations all the time. Anyway, so my first few slides, you've seen them all already. They're the ones I put in all these presentations, but this is the first of two opportunities for the board to certify our ability to pay our bills for this year, +2. We're updating the budget for changes in revenues and expenditures, and SCO will review it when we're done, and we'll receive a letter from SCO noting approval or disapproval. We're in between the November and January of the state budget process. We're already approaching the governor's proposed budget for next budget year. I also include this every time, but state funded versus basic aid district. We are far from being a basic aid district, as we receive about 36 million in property taxes of the 79.2 million, so that's $43 million away from being basic aid. And we've mentioned some of our basic aid districts neighbors, like Sonoma Valley, Healdsburg, Sebastopol Union, and Old Adobe. St. Helena is one of the better known ones because they probably fund at double the rate that we do per kid. So here are we're getting to the crux of the report here. On this slide, I just want you to notice the enrollment. While we did increase in enrollment this year versus last year, we did not increase as much as we were planning. We're actually 237, as I told you last month, down in enrollment than we were projecting at budget adoption. Our unduplicated pupil count, while this isn't a certified number yet, we did not hit the 55% mark for the 1 year. This is a 3-year rolling average anyway, this unduplicated pupil count percentage that's presented on this slide. Although we had great participation in the reports that drive this number, we're several hundred students away from hitting a 55% mark. I don't have a certified number yet, but we think it's around for the current year about 52.5% or something like that. So the rolling 3-year average is a little higher than that. I have the next slide will actually illustrate what I wanted to show you with the number of positions. I went over each position, and I can account for every one of these FTEs that I'm presenting to you as a first interim. So when you look at it between what we were projecting at budget adoption and what it is currently, there's not a huge difference. The 1.1 FTE of teachers can be accounted for at probably TMS alone, because we gave them some extra sections to because of their bigger sixth grade class than they were projecting. SEIU was some instructional aides and an LVN and a translator position that we added since the budget adoption. And the other two are relatively the same. And here's what I was wanting to point out. I pointed out earlier today in our IBB meeting, but like if you look at just at budget adoption in 24-25, between that and now, that's showing that we've added quite a few positions in all groups. So, and as Maite said earlier, and as someone else pointed out, you know, our expenses are up here, and our revenue's down here, and it's really hard to make a change in what you spend your money on versus what money's coming in. So, you know, we had a great meeting today in IBB about some solutions and what we're gonna do about reducing those expenditures. And, you know, when 85% of our budget is staff, and that's what we're talking about, so. And the other thing, I did say, if I didn't say earlier, 237 enrollment down, almost 200 ADA down from what we were projecting. So that's going to be the big differences that you'll see here in a minute of why we're deficit spending so much. And this is the other kind of highlight of the budget, if you will, or low light, is that we have more people participating in our benefits, in our health and welfare benefits. You know, 50 more in our medical, 50 more people participating in our benefits for medical, over almost 60 in dental, and you could see the numbers there, 65 in vision and, you know, 50 in life. All of these make our costs more, right? This wasn't something we were projecting when we created a budget. This is way more people on top of what we were already spending. You know, we had about a $14 million cost in benefits, health and welfare benefits alone in the prior year. We projected a 7.5% increase, which is now doubled based on the participation of the people participating in our benefits. So I like to show this slide because this is what we get paid per kid, per grade spend level. And when we talk about COLA, which is really the only additional money that we get, it's applied in this. I'm reminding you that it's applied here and nowhere else. So if we, you know, we've been relying, or what saved us from deficit spending $4 million last year was that we had more kids than we were projecting, even though the COLA was lower. And now that we're kind of flat in enrollment and ADA, the only increase to our funding would be from COLA, but it's only applied here. So we're getting $231 more for every TK through 3 kid, $234 for 4 through 6, and up as you go along. The other thing I want to point out on the slide is that what changed at the governor's enacted budget was that per TK ADA, the amount was increased to $5,545. So that was a little bit of a bump to our funding, if you will. So as I stated earlier, what's changed since the budget adoption, we've adjusted the salaries and benefits to reflect actual projected costs at this point. Posted carryover and budgets were increased accordingly within books, supplies, and professional services to the best of our ability at this time. Local revenue budgets like site donation accounts and those kinds of things we don't budget for at the beginning of the year. We budget for them once we start receiving those donations. And then the contributions to special education adjusted closer to projected actual costs, and you'll see a difference there. And again, I'm pointing out the 237 in enrollment decrease and the 200 ADA decrease. These assumptions are always similar, all step and column adjustments have been reflected. Department of Finance published COLA as of today, which was as of the budget adoption, or what we're using to project the COLAs for the out years. And you probably heard it at CSBA, but the projected COLA for next year is 3.02% as of right now, but I don't think that's what it's gonna be. Historically, we've seen dips in COLA as we get closer to the year for that next budget year, and I don't want to say a number, but it's not 3.02% because I don't know what it's going to be. COLA per the Department of Finance currently is 3.02%, but it's likely not going to be that.
The numbers that one of the sessions was lower than that.
Yes.
They're projecting.
Yep.
And it's just,
And the state can pay that, but
yeah.
again, that's gonna
I was gonna say their crystal
increase our
ball
problem.
said 2.51.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will not help our problem next year. So the rest is that we're gonna be funded on our, there are a couple different ways that we could be funded. We could be funded on current year ADA, prior year ADA, if prior year ADA is higher than current year, or the average of all three. And for next 3 years, our current ADA would be the highest in any of those scenarios. So the local control funding formula revenue, which is the majority of our unrestricted revenue, majority of our revenue period, it's about 79 million. We have about 105 million in the combined general fund budget. Graphically, that's what it looks like. I'm sorry. Whoa. About 66.8 million in unrestricted expenditures, 116.6 million in combined general fund revenues, expenditures, excuse me. So here's the meat of the story for the first interim budget. We were projecting to deficit spend $846,000, and that was already with a higher, projected ADA and enrollment than we have. So that difference alone is $2.4 million in lost revenue due to our current ADA and enrollment projections. And then the big story in the expenditures is the health and welfare, which I pointed out earlier. In the unrestricted general fund alone, it's $735,000. But when you add special ed costs of health and welfare increase, the total difference in health and welfare projected costs is 1.5 million. And that all of these things together add up to a $5 million deficit in $5.1 million of deficit spending. So this represents our whole general fund budget, and when you look at our whole general fund budget, we're deficit spending $10.4 million. 5.3 million of that is in our restricted budget, which was planned because we're spending down our one-time money. There's still going to be a balance at the end of in our restricted budget at the end of this year, and that's those are all programs that are restricted in nature, besides special ed, which we make a contribution for to make them whole. So I don't focus on the restricted budget so much because those are programs that pay for themselves, and if they can't, we don't do it. So when we focus on the unrestricted budget for the budget cycle, if we do nothing, we're gonna be deficit spending $4.2 million next year and $4 million a year after that, which isn't gonna be the case because we're gonna look for budget reductions in the amount of, I think we need to look for at least 4 million, potentially 5, to get us back to a 3% reserve for this year and next. And we're working on that, and I was really pleased with some of the ideas that came out of interest-based bargaining today, and just the ideas that we've come up with in general. None of them are great, but some of them actually make a difference, so I'm hopeful. So in the current year, cash flow is fine. We'll have some cash at the end. There'll be some months in the middle that before we get our property taxes that we'll be borrowing from funds in our other funds and or the county treasurer. And always as areas of concern are our enrollment in ADA trends. I mean, I don't, we can talk about that and about that's history for this district. And, while we, like I said, we did increase enrollment over what we ended at last year, it wasn't as high as it was, and we need to be concerned about that. COLA would be the future impact that we're concerned about, because if COLA comes in less than 3.02%, that just increases our problem. These are always the same financial concerns. So, unfortunately, this will be one of the first, since I first started, that we'll self-certify as qualified or negative. And that's the best we can do at this time, because we have not come up with a plan to reduce our expenditures as of yet. Like I said earlier, I'm feeling pretty good about some of the ideas that are being presented, and I think we'll be able to work with that. Any questions?
We just want to go down the road, 'cause I'm sure everyone probably has something. So, Trustee Johnson, do you want to start?
Okay, sure. Thank you, John. Yeah, and I'm looking, and I appreciate all the work you've done. It looks like the stuff that you have control over you've done a good job with that. It's this uncontrolled stuff that's really biting us. And I appreciate, I think as a board member, I'm going to be educate myself and try to help make some informed decisions in the upcoming year. Thank you.
Trustee Brown?
So the increase in number of FTEs, are any of those still one-time funds that are in there, or have we eliminated all the one-time funding FTEs?
This will be the last year of many of the positions that were funded with one-time money, yes. And all of that is on the restricted side of the budget, which.
Okay, so can you get back to us at some time and let us know how many those FTEs are?
Yeah, it's like, I think I wrote it down, 20 point something.
20? Okay.
20 FTE.
All right. And then the second thing that scares me more than anything, sitting up in Sacramento, explaining where the revenue comes from. And everything that I see is recession in my business and other people that. But when they put up the slide showing the revenue anticipated for this year isn't dropping.
No.
And it's like, and then they explain it's based upon income tax from the 1%ers. And there's such
from
a
four
boom.
Companies.
Pardon
I
me?
tried to explain this to Maite one day because I heard the same message at my CBO symposium.
Right.
Is that a good percentage of the growth that we're seeing on a monthly basis for tax receipts or revenue from the state is generated by employees of like 4 companies.
Right. AI and the chips and building all these
Meta, NVIDIA.
data centers.
Yeah.
And that's like a 3-year boom.
And unless,
And
yeah,
if that boom
that's what
goes
makes,
bust,
yeah.
we're not in a good place. I'll try to get my language straight
And that is
here.
why the future is
And
so
that
bleak
scares the hell out
when
of
you
me.
look at it from the analysis perspective,
Right.
because they can't project that this trend is going to continue. But
Right.
for the current year, maybe, you know, it's not potentially ongoing. It's which is why we'll probably see some one-time money again in the 26-27 school year in a restricted form of some kind because of what we're talking about left.
So
I
this
appreciate it.
is the billionaires investing
Yeah.
their venture capital money in AI, data centers, and the chips that go into those data centers. And if that bubble bursts or shifts, even though we are in a lot of recession, the state was saying, trying to explain COLA and the fact that with all that revenue, why isn't our COLA higher? Because they're spending in other areas, there's a deficit, and then also politically what Newsom's gonna do the next year is just makes your job impossible. And then just, it's so unfortunate that it's just like, I feel like I'm on the cliff and I don't know am I gonna fall off or not. So. And then they even explain what 1% in COLA is so many $1 billion. And it's just, the state just doesn't have that additional. So it's gonna be risky, to say the least, the next 3 years.
When the good news is from the state is that they can cover the 2.51 projected COLA, which is less than 3.02%, you know, that we're.
Because they have that income from
Yes.
the 1%ers.
I mean, that's a win for the state,
Yeah, no, it is.
but
They're
it's not a
saying that's
win for anyone else. You know, it's not a win for us. It's not a win for other districts. It's not a win for education, for sure.
Yeah. It's just, I walked out of that room just shaking my head.
Yeah.
Going, oh my God.
Oh, John, I was just gonna thank you for being a proponent of always having a higher reserve when the times aren't as bad. I think they've eased
Yeah,
some of
reserves
this
are what,
for us.
you know,
And, you know, I know a few years ago, we had I don't know if it was first interim or something, but we had some bad projections and there was a rescue COLA that we saw that
Yeah.
saved us, and the well's dry. I don't
Yeah.
foresee that happening, so.
The system doesn't really allow us to save money. I mean, that's how you build a reserve, is that you don't spend all the money that you project to spend. But when we're projecting to spend more money than we're receiving already, it
Yeah,
doesn't
even
leave
at
us,
10%.
it doesn't leave
reserve
us room.
gets drained.
You know, there are
quickly.
districts where, you know, I pointed this out and I've had slides about it as well. For a unified district, the average unified school district in the state of California has a 20% or more reserve. Guess what? They can, because of that, those districts can, you know.
Weather a lot more than we can.
Yeah, weather these kind of downturns. We cannot.
I just had a couple questions, and we might go over at the budget meeting next week. And maybe Maite can get back to us on some of these. So, our students from last school year to this school year basically stayed flat, like our enrollment, and then our ADA has stayed flat. But we've added 73 positions
Yeah.
between last year and this year. So my question is, what are those 73 people doing this year that we didn't have last year? And then I think you said it, but I just want to make sure I understand. So you have, going forward, you are only counting people who actually are employed with the district right now, or does the budget
Positions.
for the rest of the year include vacant positions as well?
Correct.
It does or does not?
There are vacant positions included in these numbers currently.
Okay, so at what point do we officially say if you've lived this long without it, you're living the rest of the year without it?
I think one of the things, one of the strategies, if you will be at the beginning of the year with, we'll talk about it. We haven't talked about it officially with cabinet yet, but it's to have a hiring freeze and a spending freeze. I mean, we're in a position right now where we don't meet our 3% at the end of this year. We'll have some cash, but not 3%. And if we don't, hope is not a strategy, but
Right.
the hope is that we don't spend every penny that we say we're going to spend this year.
Yeah.
And that's to the tune of 1%. Hey, there's our 3%.
Yeah.
And if doing a hiring freeze and or spending freeze helps us get our 1% back that we need to carry our 3% for this year, I mean, I think that's the one minimum thing we have to do this year.
And then and I'm sure again you'll talk about it at the budget meeting, but do we have any idea of how many vacant positions we have? Like what percent, do we have like 1 or 2? Do we have 100? Do we have, is it
I could get you
move
the
the
exact,
needle
but
worthy
it's
No.
not
number?
100.
Oh, okay.
I said I could get the exact numbers. I think we pulled it last time, but I don't want to make a
Yeah.
guess and have it be wrong, but it's not 100.
It does not move the needle.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So those are just the two big glaring things that jumped out at me, is that our student population stayed the same, but we have 73 more things.
Well,
staff.
we don't have necessarily more than what we did
We have 23 more in RIPSIA,
Sorry,
44 more in
yeah.
SEIU, 4 more in CSEA, and 2 in
That
the
was
district
that
office. So the
budgeted-
good news is, we are
that
not
was that
stuffing the
budgeted
district office
document.
with people. The numbers prove it, so at least like that. I know we get accused of that one a lot, but, I mean, it says from budget adoption of 24 to 25 to first interim, that's 77 more FTEs. And so I have a hard time understanding why we need that many more to service the same number of students.
Well, yeah, you should look at the second interim number for 24, 25 versus now.
It's still pretty high.
Yeah.
I can't do that fast math in my head. But this would be 10. But anyway,
Several of them are TK, the you know, yeah.
Mr. Martin?
I just want to say thank you. I know this is hard work, and, well, I appreciate you going through everything and making it happen.
I wish it were better. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you. And yeah, go ahead, please.
And just to publicly state the next steps, we have a budget advisory meeting, which I think we may have to hold in a bigger room on December 18th, because I think there'll be a lot of interest in that meeting. And from that meeting, we have some ideas that were developed today in IBB. We'll develop more ideas. There'll be some vetting of those ideas, and we will bring forward, we have I think our special board meeting is on the January, the first one, in 10th, I think.
January
And-
13th.
13th. And in that meeting, we will discuss budget, and you'll have an opportunity to ask us questions and what we are bringing forward to you. And then in January, the final January meeting, we would ask for you to approve our recommendations, because in the March meetings, we will have to bring you a reduction in staff and other things that we may have to eliminate. So that's a little bit about the process that we have developed to be able to right the ship.
All right. If there are no other questions, then next we have the approval of the first interim report as of October 30th, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is approval of resolution 2026-9, continued and expanded funding application.
So we have an opportunity to apply for more preschool money. We're not sure that we're going to go after it, but we do need to have this approved for us to be able to do that. There is a big demand. We have 24 students on a wait list for one of our classes and 17 on another. Of infants, we are, I believe we're at capacity with our infant program, and we are almost at capacity with our preschool program. So if we were able to find more space, this is the program that's run by North Bay Children's Center. The money, it pays for itself. If we're able to find more space, we may want to open another class. So we're asking for your approval on this resolution so we can move forward on that if we are able.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to approve resolution 2026-9, continued and expanded funding?
I move.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Nelson,
Aye.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
F through M are first readings of board policies. Are there any questions or comments about any of the first readings? All right, then we move to acceptance of gifts and donations to school and district.
Thank you. Open Books donated $1,000 in books. Community